This is the brand new Swift Trawler 37 and it's fascinating for lots and lots of reasons. Now this replaces the Swift Trawler 35, and the most interesting fact before we even get on board is the price variation between this 37 and the 35, like for like, is about 10% less. For the first time ever, it's cheaper than the outgoing model, but there's much, much more to it than that. I'm going to start talking right here because the first thing we find is this forward sloping windscreen. On the previous boat it went that way. That has given this huge space up here, and you can do various things with that. As standard it just becomes a flat white panel, but on this one, you can't see it from here, we'll see it when we go on board. It's got sliding hatches over the helm for ventilation, but you can also use that for solar panels. So that's a nice feature. Another thing that's changed while we're on the outside is this has got the Flybridge, as the previous one had. You can also have a flat top sedan version, and I'll explain how that works when we go on board. It's a very, very busy boat at a very busy boat show, so we're going to do our very best to move around this, and I think we're going to be okay actually, because these chaps are coming off, and then I think we'll have a clear shot. There's so much to tell you on this one. Another thing that's really nice on here, this is a sliding section, so this whole piece here to move back across the bathing platform to give you more space here, or forward to give you more bathing platform. And these are for davits, so you can have a tender. I think it's up to 2.3 meters on davits if you want to. These sockets on this side are for a swimming pool style ladder that goes up and over and down that lives inside the boat, but actually there is another ladder underneath for emergencies, so if you're in the water and you need to get out, that's why it's got the handle on there. So if you're swimming, you put the nice ladder in, but you've still got access even when that's not there. And that one there, just as we're passing, is for a passerelle on the back of the boat, and we've got the shower here as well. So this section that I just mentioned to you, this is actually an option as standard. You've got the door here that comes across, and you've basically got rails of a similar nature that go all the way across. I suspect the vast, vast majority of people are going to opt for this, because that just gives you so much more space. As I say, especially when you slide it back, it's just simply a bolt here, you unbolt it, you slide it. There's another one on that side as well. So that is an excellent, excellent feature. If we move on inside, there's more changes to show you. It's worth having a look because the Swift Trawler 35 is on the channel, and it is so different because on that boat what you had was a two-seater bed settee here that extended out, a sideboard here, and the galley up there. What they've done is move the galley from there, and I'll explain why in a moment, back to here. They've made this so it's now a lovely U shape, so it's much nicer than just a pair of seats facing across the cabin. That is a really big improvement. It's a much more sociable space, and in actual fact what they've done is they've made this so this table can be dropped, and these backrest cushions here, which are nicely angled, they're not vertical because the section behind is angled, but they are the right size to drop into there, make an infill and make that an extra bed. And by moving the galley back, what you've got here is a lot more space. For example, these cupboards up here, because clearly when the galley was forward you couldn't have the high level cupboards because they'd be blocking your view out from the helm. So that's created a lot more space there. We've got this massive fridge freezer. This is actually an option. The standard fridge comes to here, and then this is a wine rack on this one that's been upgraded. This also an upgrade. Obviously with these boats there's an awful lot of customization that you can do in terms of options to fit it out how you want it. So this has got all electric cooking, standard is gas. Just depends what you want. Other things that have changed, this used to be a laminate, it's now a Corian. This is actually very interesting because when you hear that the price has come down by 10%, you think, okay, where have you saved that then? Is it going to look cheaper? No, that's actually better quality than we had before. And in fact, even in places like here, this is now a curved solid wood edge on there. It looks a lot nicer. And these, which used to have a 0.6mm veneer around them, is now a 2mm, so it's a much thicker veneer. It feels a lot nicer, a lot better quality. And this again is all storage and bins and all that kind of stuff. We've got it down here as well. We've got German latches on here. These are high quality. They haven't cheapened it, they've done the exact opposite. Even these sliding windows, you can see that this slides across, but it goes across and out to make it flush. It's not a sort of an inset window, which is the cheaper way of doing it, of course. That's what I like about this. It feels so much nicer than the previous model, and the previous model was a good boat. It's a very, very popular boat. So to up their game and lower the price That's at first, isn't it? I like this lighting detail here. This track here is for a curtain, so if you have got people sleeping here, you can curtain that off. And being a trawler, of course, you've got things like the handrail in the ceiling as well. And the big vertical wheel and the big sliding side door. And in fact, what they've done here is put the big bulwark door in. So if you're alongside the quay, you can step from the helm straight out. You've got a cleat there. You can get a rope on straight away. Notice how these cleats are now stainless steel. Used to be alloy. Notice how they've put the anti-chafe on here so the ropes don't rub on the gel coat. That is excellent. We'll take a walk around the deck in a minute. It's really nice actually. But let's concentrate on the helm a little bit longer. It's a single engine boat. We'll go and have a look at that. This one has been fitted with the proportional bow and stern thruster. Very, very helpful when you're manoeuvring. Again, it's an upgrade. As I say, there's a lot of things you can do to this to make it exactly how you want it. These are these sliding hatches in the ceiling. You can, as an alternative, have solar panels across there. It's part of a silent running package, which means that you can do without the generator to a large extent. And the big news here, in terms of getting rid of the galley that used to be in this corner, is that now your crew have got somewhere to sit. And that sounds odd, but before people were sort of perching on the galley unit, sticking a cushion on there and sitting on there. And so that now is a much more comfortable place to be when the boat's underway. You can see a couple of people there comfortably, or one person can sit with their back against there and their feet up. That's really nice. And in addition to that, there's a lift up section here. So if you want a desk there, you've got it, and you've got power sockets and USB and so forth down there. So if you are working from boat, that's a really nice place to do that. And this forward sloping window, it gives that nice trawler yacht vibe, but it also gives really good visibility all the way around. Look at this, very thin mullions. That's these chaps in the corners. Nothing in the centre line at all. Just a great view out, and another sliding window over there. A lot of air through this boat. That is excellent. There's more storage down in places like this. It is a very, very practical boat. They have designed this very much with the kind of buyer in mind, which is often retired people who want to spend serious amounts of time on the boat, but they want a compact boat because it's easy to handle. That's just down into an air conditioning unit on this one. And of course, it's cheaper to run, which if you're retired is important. It's a very, very sensible, practical boat. Let's head on down forward again. There's more good stuff to show you down here. If we head forward, this is very similar to what we had on the previous boat. Now again, there are upgrades on here. So for example, the standard door for the wardrobe would just be a flat section of wood. On this one, it's upgraded with a mirror and with the leather here and with the louvers. Again, it's something you can pay for if you want to upgrade the finish on the inside. You don't need to. It's an option that's there if you want it. We've got the big hull windows. This is great because you've got the lovely view out across the water. These are opening sections, of course, here. And the reading lights at the head of the bed have got USBs tucked in the end of them, so your phone can sit there on charge. Hatch overhead, so we've got access, ventilation, light, all that kind of thing. I think we've got some bed cushions on there at the minute, but that's what's going on there. And then here is shelving on one side. There are storage under the bed. There is. I said there are because I thought I was going to find drawers, but no, that's storage. And then this is your hanging rail, and a bit more storage, and the Fusion Hi-Fi is all over there. Now another change over the 35, and this is a good one, a really good one. It always had the heads here. So if you're in here and you want to use the heads, you come out and you go into the heads, which is absolutely fine, nothing wrong with that. But it's nicer if you've got an ensuite door, isn't it? So it's one heads, obviously, on this side of the boat. That's what you would expect to find. However, previous model, this was a wet room, so your shower was in this bit. They have eked out that bit there by going back underneath the helm. In fact, you can see the shape of the ceiling here as to where the helm is. And they've also brought it forward a bit into this cabin. So we've lost a little bit of space in this cabin. Ultimately, you've only got so much space to use. If you're going to add something there, you've got to take it away somewhere else. But they've done it very, very subtly. That works well. Even got the mirror wave in there. And then that's a little bit of storage. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. Up in there. Excellent. It's underneath as well. Right. There is another cabin. Look at these catches. Completely flush. And then when it goes in, they click into place like that. Fantastic. Battery isolators down here. We've got a second cabin here, and again they've eked out a little bit more space up at this end of the cabin, so you've got storage next to the beds, which is nice. We've got shelving in here, and again the reading lights with the USB, the little hatch overhead for a bit of ventilation, and the opening windows, or portholes I should probably say. And then again we've got more storage down here. I like this. I'm really, really impressed with what they've done with this, and the fact that they've done it all and lowered the price is unheard of. And it's just a response simply to the fact that boats have been getting dearer and dearer and dearer. We all know that, and they've got to the point where people are saying, hang on a minute, we need to do something different. Don't make the boats cheaper, but maybe make them more intelligently and come up with ways of saving a bit of money. That one there, slightly squeaky because it needs undoing a bit more, is a TV. If we head on around then, what's the best thing to do? Let's take you up first of all, because this is interesting. So up here, this is the two versions you can have. This of course is the Flybridge version. I'll show you this first of all, and then I'll explain the difference with the sedan version. So on here we have got the fridge drawer underneath here. We've got the table, of course, as you can see. This backrest will slope the other way. There's a little lock on there that allows that to drop back again to give you forward-facing seating next to the helm. That is excellent. Up here, this one's got, I think I'm right in saying, 16-inch multifunction display. You can have a second one fitted into there. And again, of course, we've got the engine controls, zip weight controls, balance stern thruster controls, autopilot, all the sort of stuff that you would expect to find at the helm of a boat like that. And the visibility is superb. This, again, you can see the sliding hatches, but you can also see the shape, so that as an alternative you could have solar panels there if you wanted to. This one's got the bimini on, but another thing that it's got, and this is something that was very much down to customer demand because people were modifying their own boats to make this happen, but we now have the radar on a mast that will drop. It's a really simple mechanism. You simply unbolt it there, and the whole thing then will come forward. You can see it's at a very slight angle, so that it will come forward this way and miss that seat. Obviously if it was straight up and down it would catch onto there. And the reason they've done that, it's a useful thing regardless, but in particular it's for people doing the Great Loop in America, so that makes it Great Loop compatible. It'll go underneath all of the bridges, which is a splendid thing. Now if you have the sedan version, what you get basically is this flat floor. So it comes to here, and then around the outside you get a rail that's this sort of height that goes all the way around the entire thing. You retain this hatch, you retain this stairway, and then there's a couple of things you can do up here. You can either have what I think they call lifestyle bars, where you can keep kayaks up here, or paddle boards or bikes or whatever you want. They can be up here, or you can have this with like a sort of a teak style deck, and then you can put sunbathing cushions up here and that kind of thing. So it just depends what you want to use it for, but it retains it as a useful space. And what they've also got here is this little davit crane, and that means if you are putting paddle boards up here, for example, or kayaks or things that are a little bit more clumsy or a little bit heavier, then you can use that to help lift them with and swing them in. So much practical detailing, it's just fantastic. Like that very much. Let's head on a bit further. I think this is going to be a 20-minute plus video on a 37-foot boat, and you can understand why, can't you? Because it is absolutely remarkable. Oh, it's something else I didn't show you. This, and again you keep this if you have the sedan version, is to put paddle boards into, so they slot into there, and again you've got that lift to help get them up there. You can see there's another one on that side. So much clever detail. These under here, gas locker, and also on this side you have a spare. This boat doesn't have it because it's all electric, but if you have the gas, that's where they live. Of course they then drain overboard, so if there's ever a leak it goes out of the boat, not into it. And then we've got asymmetric decks. So The one on that side is a bit narrower. It's still usable, but this is the main route forward and back, and of course the side door from the helm comes out onto here as well. We've got the overhang here, and if you have that solar panel package, you have solar panels on this overhang as well. And that's that side door. As you can see, it's right next to the helm. You've got this wonderful big sliding door, gives you great ventilation, but also gives you great access. Come alongside here, and you're straight out, you've got a rope on the cleat down. It makes this a very, very manageable boat, even if you're on your own. And then if we come up here, you can see again this section up here. This is what I was talking about, where the panels would go if you want them. As I say, as standard, it's just this white GRP, but as option you have these, or as another option you have the solar panels, and that was what I was talking about, where they go onto there as well. Let's head on forward again. This one's got the Raymarine camera system on it. A lot of options on this one, as I say, spec it how you will. This is nice. It's a lift up seat, but of course it drops flat. It's a very simple mechanism. It's just this here, so you just bring that one forward, lift it out. You can put it into here, you can put it into here, or you can drop it right back and have that flat, which is what you'd have underway, of course, because that would give you the visibility that you need. And then this one here, that's that hatch that is over the forward cabin. Of course, if you open that, that simply lifts out of the way as it opens, so it's not blocking it. We've got a nice flat forward deck up here. We've got, of course, the anchor winch and the anchor on the cradle there, and then this is anchor chain locker, and that is where the handle and the winch control would go. So the handle goes in the top there as a backup. I won't open that one because I'll mess up their ropes. If we come down this side, as I say, it's a narrower walkway on this side and it's higher, but it is still nonetheless perfectly usable. But the idea of having this narrower is obviously to create more space in the saloon. And this is what I mean about these windows. You see how these are flush? Normally, the cheaper sliding windows, they're inset, so they can slide forward and back. On this one, they go in and then forward or back, depending on which way they're sliding. This one, I think, comes forward. So, you know, there's no sense of, yeah, they've done that a bit cheaper, or they saved some money there. It's not there. It doesn't happen. So steps down to here. Last thing to talk about then is the engine and the lazarette. I'll show you the lazarette first of all. This is a really useful space. Now this particular boat's fitted with a generator. You can see that down here with the word generators written on it. It's a bit of a giveaway, isn't it? And we've got steps down into here as well. This fellow here is an emergency tiller. If we slide this seat back, you can see that there is a socket there. If you lost your steering, you can use that tiller and you can carry on. And you see those two stainless steel bars? Those are your davits for your tender. They slot in, so those sockets that we saw on the bathing platform, and that's for dinghy handling. Let's put that one back down. There we are, and then we will finish off with the engine space. It's getting busy out there. They've blocked the boat off for me completely in the middle of a busy show, which is absolutely fantastic. Very kind, but I can hear the stress building on the outside, so we'll get this done. Now this boat is so new that we don't have figures for it yet. So I do have the figures for the 35, and it's the same size of engine, although they've gone to Yanmar rather than Cummins, and that's from experience of fitting these in their bigger boats and having so much success and good feedback from owners. They thought they're going to spread these across the range. So 400 horsepower standard, 440, which this engine is an option. It's a single shaft drive engine. As I say, we don't have figures, but basing it on the previous boat, you're going to be looking probably at somewhere around 20 knots flat out, cruising anything between 6 and maybe 14 knots, and at 6 knots probably around 700 miles of range. As I say, we don't have the official figures yet because this boat is so brand new, but that is a reasonable estimation based on what's gone before. You can see the shaft going down through there, the gearbox is on the back of the engine. That is a nice simple installation, and of course this one here will come up. This is a freestanding section here that can attach, or it can be taken off and used elsewhere, and the table of course is demountable, and then you can see there's another panel here that comes up like this one on that side. So if you're doing servicing, for example, then of course that gives you much better access to it. Good, there we are. That can go down, and I think we have fairly much covered it. But without doubt, that is something very unique to have a boat which is genuinely upgraded both in layout and features from the original, but cheaper. I say like for like, 10% cheaper. It's not a case of it's 10% cheaper if you don't have the Flybridge, the starting price in other words. The Flybridge version is 10% cheaper than the previous Flybridge, and the sedan version is 15% cheaper than the previous Flybridge, but of course that is because it doesn't have the top on it. There we are. I think we've covered it, and I think that is a really, really impressive boat. Let's go right up to the bow to finish off. You can see how busy this show is and how popular Beneteau are. And that, my friends, is about the size of that. Massive, massive thanks to Beneteau for being so helpful with this one. They gave me a really good tour of the boat and then just shut it off and left me to my own devices. That's been fantastic. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you appreciate the differences on that one. It's been a fascinating one to look at. I shall be intrigued as to your comments, and I shall look forward very much to catching you on another one of these real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.